so happy to have you all here, especially at this early time of the day. I can even not myself believe it that I'm here at 7 o'clock in the morning and drinking my coffee, and you know, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm very excited about our discussion. My name is José Manuel Robles. Mis Avilés, buenos días. Muchísimas gracias por venir, Lisette.
Hola, un placer. Good morning.
We have just barely started. So my name is Jose Manuel Robles. I'm a teacher support specialist for bilingual and dual language integration here at the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. And I last year already our department already started these conversations with community coordinators and family liaisons. We are even making a stronger effort this year to integrate other departments to collaborate with other departments in our district. We are working. We are so happy to have Indian education here with us today. Also, language and cultural equity is also participating in this series of presentations. And also, we are so happy to have again our community coordinators and family liaisons, which by my own experience, I've seen it firsthand, the importance of their work at the school where I used to work, which was Adobe Acres, another school about which I have lots of good memories. And I would like today, my goal, if I had only one goal today, it would be for all the participants to really have a much better and clear idea about what our family liaisons, community coordinators, and also for myself, because I'm not that familiar with that department, what Indian Ed also is doing, and all their representatives are doing for our Native American students and for all our Native American families. So that would be for me, at least have that goal and that idea when we come out from this panel today. This session was also designed with all the feedback that all of you TLFs left last time at our first meeting, TLF Summit last month. So we are trying very carefully, very systematically to collect all your feedback and really try to design sessions that really address your needs and your interests. So please, at the end of the day or during the day, please go to our website, and Michaela, maybe later on at the end of the panel, before I forget, please let us know, remind us again of where we can all leave the feedback, because that is extremely important for all of us. And the structure of the panel will be, maybe the first part of the panel, I would like all our panelists to really respond to our questions, to engage in conversation. And then if you TLFs have questions, want to participate, first, I would like for you to please, if possible, post your questions on the chat, and we will try to answer them as they come up and as the conversation develops. And maybe, Michaela, you could please help me with that. And please don't mind to interrupt me, or so let us know. So we would like also those questions from our guests. And then maybe towards the end of our conversation, maybe we will have more time for an open discussion, and maybe we can have some live questions from all our participants in today's panel. Okay, so that as much for myself, and I would like our panelists to introduce themselves, maybe starting by our Indian Ed representative, Kari.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm Carrie Kirkhoff, and I'm the Indian Education Resource Teacher at Governor Bent Elementary School. Very glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Maria.
I'm Maria Garcia Corin. I'm a new TLF this year, and I'm a first grade teacher at Mark Twain Elementary School.
Thank you for coming. Lisette.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisette Aviles. I'm the Family and Community Liaison at Adobe Acres Elementary School.
Alma.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alma Arango. I'm the Community School Coordinator at Hawthorne Elementary School.
Thank you for coming. And Andrew?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Andy Brayman. I am one of the two community school coordinators in a downtown community school collaborative of Lew Wallace Elementary Community School, Longfellow, and Eugene Field. And my co-coordinator is probably sleeping, got her eyes shut right now.
So thank you so much, all of you, our panelists, for being here today. I know it's not easy to be here at, ready to go at 7 o'clock in the morning, but we are so happy to have you here. And continuing with the conversation with our family liaisons and community coordinators. Again, one of the goals of this panel is to let our wider audience, all our teachers, all our families in the district to know what the community schools are, what community coordinators do, and what family liaisons do. So I don't know, Alma or Andrew, could you please tell us more about what you do? What are the roles of or what is a community school, first of all, and what are the roles of a community coordinator?
Do you want to go, Alma? I'll go. Okay. So a community school is not a community school until it has a community school coordinator and until the school embraces the 4 pillars of the strategy of community school. To me, the number one pillar, the key pillar to make this whole thing go, is the collaborative leadership. And that means everybody gets on the same page. Everybody has a voice. It's a very democratic process. Egos are left at the door, and everybody gets to have an opportunity to make the community school go. That's the principal, the coordinator, the staff, and that's every piece of the staff, from the teachers, the custodians, everybody, and then the community, the partners that we bring into the school to help make all the goodness happen. So that's the key. That's the number one. I call it the foundation, but it's the number one pillar. And then we have family and community engagement, of which, as soon as I jump off of this, we are beginning our first virtual community diner in the downtown collaborative tomorrow night. We expect to feed probably 150 families in a grab and go situation. And we're pretty excited about that. Also have a sidebar thing going on with a pilot program that New Mexico PBS is doing with our Kinder 1 and 2 families at Lew Wallace and at Eugene Field. So it's kind of a, before fall break gets here, it's busy. And then we do extended learning program. Not much extended learning right now with before or after school programming, but we are able to help bring in people from in the community like Kids Cook, NDI, Global Warming Express to help our teachers do things during the day. I'd never let NDI go. I would never let Kids Cook go, and I never let Global Warming go. They are 2 integral part of what we do in our 3 elementary schools to support the curriculum that goes on with our teachers. And then let's see, Alma, what's the last one I'm missing? I got family. Oh, integrated student supports, of which I think Alma and I have probably been spending the majority of our time since COVID hit. We're working very diligently to make sure that families have no barriers so their children can get online and participate in a virtual school setting every day. And we're helping massive amounts of people with rental assistance, utility assistance, Food inequities, especially our pantry and our downtown collaborative, went from 50 families a month back in March before COVID hit to 122 families last month. So yeah, we're just there doing everything that we can to make sure that there's no barriers for kids to be online and participating. So Alma, did I miss anything?
No, you got everything, Andy. I would just say that we are pretty much the bridge between the need and the assistance. That's, in short.
Alma, could you please maybe, now that we know, the organization, how your functions work at the school and the district level, could you please tell us what your typical day looks like? What kind of things you do at the school? What would be a typical day? Well, I know that right now we are not going through typical days. These are very atypical, but more or less, what would be a typical day for you community coordinators at the school?
There's actually no typical day because there's always something unexpected coming. But let's say, so I'm usually in my office and, just ready to start the day. But then there's always parents coming in asking for help on, maybe communicating with the teacher. I also help with that. I have my principal and community school coordinator meetings. We also have our community school council meetings that we need to do twice a month. So I also participate in health and wellness meetings, attendance team. So it's like I'm everywhere pretty much. So there's really no typical day. There's a lot of meetings always. And of course, working with partners, trying to find services to bring to our school. But pretty much, I guess a typical day would just be being available to see what's coming our way.
Uh-huh. And I know firsthand, because I saw that at the school where I was working at Adobe Acres, how busy you get. Is that what I saw, at least in that school, is that one family and then another family. And it's not like a long line of people, but there is always families coming. So I know how busy and how stressful the work of community coordinators is, because you are busy literally all day long and you are running from one place to the next. And thank you, Alma. And Lisette, I know from what Alma is telling me and seeing you too at Adobe Acres, I know how much you go all over the place. Could you please explain to us a little bit what family liaisons do? Because we have family community coordinators and family liaisons. What are maybe the differences, and what have you been doing lately at your community school that you haven't been doing before the pandemic and all the closures? So your role in general, family liaisons, and what has changed in your roles, in your job now with the pandemic?
Well, I have to say that the role has not changed much. It has increased. It has increased now that we are in the pandemic, and it hasn't. Well, it's been harder now that we can see families face to face, but oh my gosh, I feel like I have more work than ever. Okay, me as a family liaison, I can say it's hard to talk about myself, but I want to say about what I do. I am the link to students and families and the community to provide resources. Also, I'm the connect person. I'm the to-go person, because I assist with translation. I talk to the community partners. We set up meetings. I try to make the families welcome, even if they're not on campus. I always try to reach to my families. I call them, we send them letters, and I just want them to know, as community school, or even if it wasn't a community school, I want them to feel welcome and to feel that we're there for them if they have a need, or if they have a question or anything, that we are there for their needs and the community. Also, I want to say that I assist in attendance. I am part of the attendance team. I attend to health and wellness meetings, like Alma said. It's not really that we have something in particular to do every day, because there is always a need, or it's unexpected. So I am pretty much all over the place and trying to support everybody, to support my principal, work very close with her. And I just try to do my best every day for the students and for the families.
And I wonder, how come not every single school has a community coordinator and or a family liaisons? Because your work is, it's showing that it's so absolutely valuable and helpful, you know, to all our families, our students, and for us teachers. I know that from my interactions with Ms. Romero and Ms. Aviles at Adobe Acres Elementary, we were able to create so many connections with the families. So yeah, incredible work. And before we go more in depth to what has been going on right now during the school closures and the pandemic, I would like also to ask Carrie. And so tell us about, you know, for people like me that even though I've always been a dual language, bilingual teacher, very, you know, always in schools, bilingual schools, but I'm not that familiar at all with the Indian Ed department and the Indian Ed resource teachers. And I'm also very eager to know more and see if we could get more help and support for our Native American students. So could you please tell us what the Indian Ed department in the district, what are its roles, and what you guys do at the department for our how you support our Native American students?
Thank you, Jose. So, long answer. I'll try to keep it as condensed as I can. We do so many different things for our Native students and families. Myself, I'm an Indian education resource teacher at an elementary school. I'm at Governor Bent Elementary. And we have, don't have count in my head right at the moment, maybe 6 or 7 elementary resource teachers right now. And our primary work is with providing reading and math interventions for Native American students. A lot of students who are needing Tier 2 interventions. And also some of us also provide cultural programming at our schools, maybe Native American studies classes like I do at Governor Bent, which we open up to all the Native students. Also providing programming for the whole school, coordinating cultural celebrations or instruction, supporting teachers to help them access more culturally relevant curriculum. We also have resource teachers at the middle school and high school level. So at middle school, that would be Native American studies classes, which have a strong language arts component to them. At the high school level, we have government classes. We have at Del Norte High School, we have the JAG program, Jobs for America's Graduates, which is headed up by Timothy Garrow. We have heritage language programs. So when I first started with Indian Ed about 10 years ago, we had only Navajo language instruction at the high school level. And we now have that at the middle school level as well. We have an extensive Zuni language program, which goes from high school all the way down through elementary school, and looking hopefully to make more languages available for our students. All of our classes integrate culturally relevant curriculum. So bringing in For instance, at the elementary level, culturally relevant literature tied in with our instruction. We focus on Native American values, looking at how the ways that we engage with ourselves and with society and with our community really impact our growth as a whole person, and how that's a really significant part of our education. I know we do a lot, and this is still, I'm just speaking about the teachers, so there's a lot more that goes on in our department, which I'll get to in a moment. We do a lot to advocate for our students, to really help the whole school community to understand a little bit more what their experiences might be, and to understand the tremendous diversity of cultures among our Native American students in APS. At the district level, we have a wonderful new position of home school community coordinators. We have 2 who have just started this fall, and a 3rd one will be with us any moment, just finishing up in HR, as well as a college and career counselor. And all 4 of them, under the supervision of our instructional manager, Phil Farson, are working with schools to provide additional support. So in a lot of cases, they're working with the community school coordinator if a school has one. We're very fortunate to have that at Governor Bent. Deborah Pohl is our new community school coordinator. But many schools don't have that, as you've mentioned. And so in cases where we do have a community school coordinator, the homeschool community liaisons from Indian Ed are able to team with them, if not with other leadership and support personnel and support staff at the different schools, to maybe provide a perspective that might not be the same as what the school staff would have, to actually work as liaisons directly with the family. I know the teachers are doing a lot of that as well, so like I will coordinate with Deborah Pohl at our school, I'm a member of the attendance team, doing a lot to support students with just being able to get online. I know at the beginning of the year, our homeschool community liaisons and our counselor, we're working a lot with just checking in with families, finding out who has devices, who still needs them, contacting families that maybe had not registered yet for this school year. They were still on our rosters from last year, but had somehow missed the communication about needing to register, so helping get that to happen. Working with families to make sure everyone had internet connections. And so there's been a lot of troubleshooting and support. We're still working with some of that. But now it's going more into supporting social services, working with families who have need for rental assistance, helping set them up, connecting them to community resources that way. Families who are needing support with food, with hot meals. Trauma counseling. There's so many things right now. I think we'll get into that in the next part of the discussion. And then we do a lot for enrichment as well. So ordinarily we have a summer cultural enrichment program. We were not able to do that this past summer, but there's some things happening during the school year. So John Williams, who has been one of the high school teachers for many, many years, works with the Native American leadership students of the district, and they're putting together a performing arts presentation, like a virtual event that they just put out the call for performers. So wonderful things that happen to bring the whole community together. I'm sure I'll think of more things, but it's really wide-reaching. And our department works very closely with tribal leaders, having summits throughout the year, finding out what their needs are, just really trying to advocate and support for our students and making sure that they're receiving what they need.
So just one question also as a former teacher myself. So if my school would like to have some kind of Native American event or Native American program, could my school or my principal or our TLF contact Indian Aid Education Department, and Indian Aid would be able to provide some kind of a uh, teacher support specialist or resource teacher that could go to that school for a couple of events or sessions. Is that available?
So we are really limited in our staffing, limited by our funding. We have resource teachers, like I said, at about 6 or 7 elementary schools, just based on enrollment. I know at the high school level, a lot of the instruction is happening district-wide now, and that's much easier to do through the online virtual environment. But like through the Career Enrichment Center, through CEC, a lot of the instruction is offered that way. Our heritage language program is so, like our Zuni language teacher at the elementary level was assigned to, I think, 4 or 5 different schools specifically based on the number of Zuni language students at those schools. But now with the virtual instruction, she's able to reach out and offer that to individual students at specific schools further throughout the district. So, there are different ways that we try to provide programming for students and staff across the district. I would suggest probably contacting our instructional manager, Phil Farson, or Dr. Daisy Thompson, who's our senior director of Indian Ed. But unfortunately, we just don't have staffing to have a resource teacher at every single school.
And Carrie, you already started kind of hinting at that. If you could point at 1 or 2 specific things, barriers, difficulties that specifically our Native American student population is facing right now, our Native American families, what would those be? What could you tell us, all of us, teacher support specialists, TLFs, teachers in general, what are those 1, 2, 3 barriers that you and your colleagues are seeing that maybe if we all would be more aware of those, could help us design better structure or be more effective?
Well, I'm sure a lot of the barriers, the difficulties we're seeing are going to be things that are common to a lot of our students, economic hardship, difficulties, with food and rent and those sorts of things, social services, counseling. A lot of our families have experienced trauma, death, losing either close family members or extended family. I know in my own experience, we have students who are really having difficulties with being online, with being present for classes. Certainly not all of our students, but sometimes that may be related to having to travel frequently throughout, every week, going back and forth between where the larger family may be living, providing support to extended family members, or maybe families who rely on parents, rely on grandparents or aunties or uncles to help provide some of the childcare while the parent is working. They may have to travel to get that. They may have difficulties with connectivity depending where they are. So many things. There's so many unique situations. One of the families that I'm familiar with at my school was they were facing potential eviction because during these times, mom got sick. She had a cold, and she had to get tested and be quarantined before she could go back to work, and she lost pay. She lost wages for all those days. So, there are a lot of difficulties. In some cases, we have students who are trying to learn from daycare centers, and that presents its own host of difficulties with, background noise, or not having someone who's able to get them connected to all their different classes. Like they may be getting online for their first homeroom class of the day, but missing their intervention, missing their pullouts. We have families where older students are having to be the support for the younger students with connecting to their classes. So that may be interfering with their learning time. We have families where multiple things are happening in the same room during the same time. So there may be a lot of distractions with the online learning. But then we also have a lot of support. You know, some of the families have a member who can be present with the kids and really help them with their engagement. And that's wonderful. It really varies from one family to the next.
Thank you, Carrie. And Lisette, Alma, and Andrew, what are you also seeing? I'm sure very similar things to what Carrie was telling us, but what are other things that you may be seeing? You can start, either one of you.
If I looked at the crystal ball, and if our federal government doesn't get something put together in the next couple months, there's going to be millions of people on the streets, not just, you know, the thousands in our community, but evictions are going to hit us hard. And there's going to be millions of people out there. And I don't know what we're going to do. As you know, I'll get off my soapbox in a second, but something's got to happen. The federal government's got to be proactive, because there's a lot of people that I'm working with, and I'm sure that all of us are working with, that are that close to losing their roof over their head. And the city's doing its best to provide rental assistance, but those dollars are almost dried up. Through our partnership that Alma and I are involved with, the ABC Community School Partnership, there's a little bit of money that they still have left to help with rental assistance. But there's a lot of people that are on the edge of losing the roof over their head, and I don't know what we're going to do. So, you know, we've been able to do the best that we can. At one time, you could get $3,000 for a rental assistance. Now I heard it's like $1,200 for rental assistance. There's a lot of landlords out there that are, yeah, you know, they've been left holding the bag because people haven't been able to pay their rent. We just learned that evictions, in fact, I'm working with a Navajo family that was evicted from their home because the landlord said that he was selling the house to another individual. And so they were given 30 days notice. It's happened. They're out of their house. They're in a motel, and we're working with them to try to get some kind of housing back again. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but you know, I hope your voice will be heard on November the 3rd, because if we don't get this, I don't know what we're going to do as an American public if we don't stop something soon.
Yeah, I think it's clear that we're in the middle of a crisis in many areas. Alma and Lisette, from your interactions with families and students, and I know that you go see families almost on a daily basis or every single day, what do the families that you work with are crying for, are asking the teachers, or are asking the schools? What we, from, you know, at the district level, at the classroom level, you know, on the other side of the screen, we are not able to see, but you, through your contacts and interaction with families, what are you seeing? What are the families asking for? What are they seeing?
The families that I work with, I think probably 99% of them, they have a hard time with technology. So even though their devices are working well, you know, they still have a hard time helping their children log on or attending virtual meetings. And some of them don't really see the purpose of online school. Like, they're having a hard time. They're also having a hard time with discipline and routine in the home. You know, it's like after being out of school for so long, children are not in a schedule anymore. So I know a lot of parents tell me, that they're trying to get back on, like a school routine, getting them to bed early, waking them early. But a lot of children are not interested in virtual school. That they're having a hard time. There's and like Kari said, there's a lot of disruption in the home because they're not the only student who's doing online learning. But some families have 3 or 4 children who have to log in at the same time, and there's just a lot going on. There's also the language barrier because a lot of my parents at school don't speak English, teachers don't speak Spanish. So then that's barrier there in trying to communicate. And they're also not used to the virtual world. They want a phone call instead of a class tag message or an email. They want to be there in person instead of in a virtual meeting. So I think that's being very difficult for families and students.
Thank you, Alma. Lisette?
Yes, well, they said it all. It's I have to say the same thing. We encounter at our school the same barriers are very similar, language barriers, economic, childcare, where kids are in daycare, but the people at daycare are not able to help the kid to log in their classes. Also, the parents. We have grandparents now with their grandkids that are raising them. And it's very hard for elder people to support a student, to have them sit down and help them log in. Well, their technology, they don't know technology. So it's been very hard. Also, internet issues. We encounter internet issues that they have so many demand now that people need internet, that it's been hard to have everyone. And then there's people saying that, parents that contact me, they say, I have no money to pay for internet. Well, we provide them with some programs that we have available with Comcast and Xfinity. And it was one family in particular that they couldn't get the modem because Comcast came to their house and just dropped the modem, and they didn't connect it for them. So the modem was sitting there for 4 weeks. Grandma, because this is a grandma that raises 4 kids, and she was waiting for a technician to come over to her house and have it ready, like connected and have it everything installed, and he never came. So I had to go in person to the Xfinity office and please ask for a technician to come to their house and have it installed. So that didn't happen. So our principal had to send an email, personal email, to this person that I talked to at the Xfinity store, asking him, please come to the house or it's going to be on you that these kids don't have education, because they deserve education, right? So the next day we had a technician going to their house and have everything installed. So sometimes it's the internet technology issues, but sometimes it's on their part as well, because we refer these students and parents to get the internet access, but the companies, sometimes they don't provide a good service for them. So it's been hard, and I just want to say that all of us, we're all on this together, and we have to extend our grace to each other.
And I also know, because we talked over the summer, we were communicating that also the food issue, it's really a big issue. You have been going to so many houses delivering food, so it's really food becoming like a major issue, as well as, housing. Andrew was saying, technology. You and Alma were also saying, but I think that food is also becoming a major issue.
Yes, it was in the beginning, but now I want to say thank you to the EBT, e-cards, or whatever the government, wherever these funds came from. I just want to say thank you, because that relieved the hunger in our families, in our communities, because Adobe Acres is in the South Valley, and I don't know about the other ones, but we have families that really need food. We have our monthly food bank, and we provide food for our families. And if they can't come for their food box, we deliver it. We have a really strong team that we deliver the food to the families. Myself, the principal, assistant principal, the counselor, I don't want to say names, but like everyone that's involved in that particular team, we make it happen.
Yeah, I could not believe it when you were telling me stories about certain families that we know, and you were going to their trailer, to their homes, to their. I mean, you guys, all of you, community coordinators, family liaisons, are doing an awesome, awesome job. Thank you, Lisette. And Maria, how do you see all this from the TLF teacher perspective? What are your teachers, our teachers, saying? What they would like to see from the families?
Well, of course, we're having all the same issues that, the other people had mentioned, but, and then we're noticing, because I'm at Mark Twain Elementary School, we're not a community school. So I'm finding myself working a lot with the family liaison, our counselor, and of course I'm there just to, support the teachers and get the resources to the teachers. But what I thought was interesting is, we're having some barriers where, of course, we're having all those barriers, but also this seems like we're having in some of our classrooms with some of our teachers, we're having too much family support. And I know that seems like not a problem, but especially like for me, I'm a first grade teacher and I surveyed some of our, primary grades. We're teaching to the parent and the child sitting next to them. And, one of us might say, okay, get your whiteboard, and the parents handing the whiteboard, the parents writing, 2 + 2 = 4. So we're seeing that as a problem because as teachers, of course, we want to observe our students, gain the knowledge of how they're doing, how they're writing, how they're problem solving. And so we're seeing that as a barrier. And as well, I'm sure some of the other TLFs have seen this and, talked about this with their teachers, is it appears that what we're seeing in front of the camera remotely with our students is not what we're seeing on their assessments. So it appears that we have families that are doing the assessments for their children. So, and I think one of the big questions that we were asking, and a lot of my teachers were asking me as the TLF, how do we fill out that midterm progress report of how our students are doing? How do we do that report card when we either have, what seems to be skewed data or no data because the families just don't do the assessment, and then we're not getting that interaction between the students and the teacher to really gain that knowledge of our students.
Thank you, Maria. And it's funny that you just said what I've been hearing, and I'm sure many of you, and I want to ask you too, what I've been hearing from many other teachers and TLFs, that teachers at this moment, they are teaching not only students but also their families or their parents at the same time. Do you think, Maria, that maybe that is one of the keys to really overcome all these barriers and difficulties, and maybe these silos where parents get angry and teachers get frustrated. Maybe this is something I'm not asking in general, that maybe we should accept and embrace, that during this pandemic, during all this, going through all these difficulties, we teachers need to take that in mind. Teaching students, but at the same time teaching parents. Would you say that maybe that would be helpful? That could be one of the ways to get out of this frustration that many teachers are feeling?
Well, I think it's wonderful to have the parents there, and we're embracing, having the students there with their parents. It's wonderful to see that support. A lot of my teachers at my school, we've adjusted our schedules for our families. So, we log on in the morning, because I know some of the issues were getting families to log on and then leave and then log back on again later. And so the attendance dwindles as the day goes on. So a lot of my teachers have chosen to log in the morning, that morning meeting, connect with the kids. And of course, the families are there, which is nice, connect with everyone. And then a lot of the teachers are leaving their site live and saying, okay, turn off your camera, mute your mic. I'm going to put on a little 5-minute timer, take a break, get your math books that we need next. And, and then the teacher's able to monitor the site at her desk or his desk while he's working. And then when that little timer goes off, it's wonderful to see, all the little cameras pop back on again. So you're staying connected with that family. And then, so you do math, and then you take another break that might be, 15 minutes, go run around, go whatever, but you still have them on the screen. And then, the timer goes off again and they pop back on, and then it's English language arts. So, I think it's wonderful to embrace the families being there, the children being there. I know it's a positive and a negative all at once. And I think, I've noticed in some of the classrooms with some of the teachers that some of the siblings, their little heads are in the screen too, or younger siblings or older siblings are on the screen. And, for me personally, being at a school for a long time, I'm able to connect with those older students that maybe I taught before or saw in the hallway. So.
Thank you, Maria. We just had a question from one of our participants, from Janaline. You have a class at 8, and where can you find resources for families that are struggling with being homeless? If you could leave your email, maybe Lisette and Andrew and Alma and maybe Carrie also can help us with that later, and maybe they can send you whatever information we may need.
Sure. Real quick, the biggest thing that I can say is have your counselor and or principal, or even the teacher yourself, can do a McKinney-Vento referral. If the family's homeless, they can get a McKinney-Vento referral, and Penelope and her gang are very proactive. They'll jump on it as soon as they get it and reach out to the family to find out what's going on and how they can help with food, clothing, housing, motel vouchers, whatever the case may be. But yeah, reach out to Penelope and do a McKinney-Vento referral.
I put the link to the referral form in the chat off of, they're part of the APS website. It's also part of the Title I Homeless Project, and their contact information can be found on the APS website.
Thank you. And also, Tony was also asking for those resources, so I hope that can help. But I know that the Title I program, the program for the homeless, have been hiring some extra personnel, some extra staff this summer, and I think they are now working very hard on that. So thank you, Michaela, for that. Mm-hmm. And Michaela, you are one of our behavior support specialists in our department. I know you have been hearing a lot from many teachers from all over our district, and behavior definitely seems to be one of those things that pop up, and many teachers are getting very frustrated with that. Could you please tell us more about that? What's happening right now? It's just pure frustration from the teachers, or and maybe frustration from the parents? What can we both do, families and teachers, to really cooperate and make the situation better?
So, like a couple people have said, one of the big issues is really making those strong connections. So things like relationship building and just being able to build that trust and relationship with students and families has been difficult in the virtual world, whether it's because of connectivity or just because it's a completely different way of connecting with people. And as an extrovert, I find it really hard to just sit and not be with people in person. So I can understand that. Another issue we're seeing is inconsistent schedules. A lot of schools have changed their schedules multiple times, or you've got multiple kids in the house that are all on different schedules. And so that's creating problems, because then routines and systems and structures are not really able to be fully formed before they've been changed again. Or you've got a parent trying to juggle 14 different schedules that keep changing with all their different kids. Some schools have gone to block scheduling. And so just with all of that, kids are overwhelmed. Just hands down, kids are overwhelmed, teachers are overwhelmed, parents are overwhelmed. And so it's really taking a step back and asking, is everything that we're doing necessary as far as, academics sometimes? Is it too much? Is it not enough? And I know for schools that are doing Edgenuity, that's added a whole other level of stress to students, because it is very fast paced. And then just the number of programs, how cumbersome it can be to get that additional help. And so from our perspective as, behavior support specialists, we encourage teachers to, focus on that community, culture, and relationship building as much as they can, even if that means that the time that they spend face-to-face with their kids, that's what they are primarily doing, to keep them engaged. And then as well, when they're working, if they're doing asynchronous activities or whatever, to keep in mind that you do have people not in a stable home environment. They may be moving from place to place. Parents are at work. And so keeping in mind that students need different ways to be able to participate and engage. So if they can't, make it to the meet and they can't be on camera because they're living in a hotel and they don't want their classmates to know that, thinking of other ways that you can still engage that student, but it may have to look different than all of your other students, or a good portion of them. We've been brainstorm and work with teachers and things on, what does it look like, and how we can support in creating those types of things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And Michaela, you just mentioned the Edgenuity and the camera. Could any one of all the TLFs, any participants here, are your schools using Edgenuity? I would like to hear from anybody that whose school is using Edgenuity, to hear how Edgenuity is going, how parents, how families, how students are dealing with Edgenuity, and if Edgenuity, even though it's a great tool, online tool, it's becoming a barrier for whatever reason or not. Can anybody maybe give us their opinion? Yes, I see one hand up.
Yes, this is Janelyn. I'm going to be late for class, but yes, second grade started Edgenuity, and I teach at Hodgin Elementary, which is a Title I school, and like you said, it sounded good in theory, but you have to have the parent support. I didn't understand, because I was like, well, I'll be that parent. Like, I'm going to be helping them. No, because when we had iPads, and it was a train wreck with the iPads. And then, because you had to go through and do all the settings. So I had all these parent meetings trying to train the parents and the grandparents. And it's not really working. Most of them are on it, but not doing it. So I have just fallen back to, we're supplementing with stepping stones and seesaw, because it needs a lot of parent support, and this wasn't the community to do it, to be honest. So they're overwhelmed. Like you said, they're so overwhelmed they can't try to learn a new thing. I mean, it was not an easy technology program at all. Not with iPads. Maybe with Chromebooks, but K1 and 2 got iPads. And so.
Anybody else that is using? Yes, Tony?
Hi there. First of all, I had my little Google nod here. I don't know if you guys saw me raising my hand. Are you guys familiar with the with Google Nod?
Yes, I do, but I didn't see the icon or the sign here. I have. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
Go. I just raised my hand. You guys see that?
And now I see it. Yes, now I see it.
You have to have the Google Nod extension on your Chrome, but it's really cool because kids can raise their hand. They can answer with a thumbs up. There's all kinds of little emojis here that they can use. It makes engaging with the students in the classroom a lot of fun because you don't have to immediately stop what you're doing to look at the chat. I have a hard time with that. When I'm teaching, I can't look at the chat all the time. You know what I mean? So
we only
anyway,
a few. I'm sorry for interrupting you. We only have like a few seconds left. So
okay. So with Edgenuity, we have been using Edgenuity for 12th grade financial literacy for years, and it is always a problem. First of all, I have special ed students, and the content is a little challenging for them. That's an understatement. But Edgenuity and Synergy do not report the grades at the same time. So parents, and then Edgenuity reports like how much the student has gone through the class. So if it says 35%, parents are all thinking that the kid's failing the class. No, it's just that the kid is has accomplished or has completed 35% of the class. But then back to the grade that's reported in Edgenuity is not the same as the one that's in Synergy. So we're struggling as a school right now. We're trying to negotiate an agreement where we can include like a participation grade that would be weighted a little bit more so than we're allowed to right now, which is 10%. But as far as the Edgenuity experience goes for me, again, I have students with disabilities, and it's almost impossible for them. I've noticed that with Edgenuity, if a student functions a little higher, they seem to do very well and it works out for them. But anything under that, there's a challenge, and then under that, there's overload and failure, is what we've noticed as a school. My own children at home, the oldest one does okay, the middle one is and then the younger one is floundering in Edgenuity. So it's a struggle. He puts in a lot of hours every night to try to get it done. So that's my take.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tony. I'm sorry because we need to hurry up now. I want to be respectful of all your time, but definitely Edgenuity seems to be an issue for many or most families, especially our most vulnerable ones. What I've been hearing is that housing, technology, food are still a big issue for all our families. Inconsistent schedules are also problems. The logistics at the schools are still a problem. But we had some suggestions like building connections, developing connections, working with parents and students from our department, right? Michaela, we will continue working with all these issues, and especially we will keep on looking at Edgenuity and how we can work with that and make that more accessible to all our families. You can connect with us, and if you are interested in following this conversation, and contact our panelists, and I will be kind of the point of contact for all of you. If you want me to give you their emails, I will gladly do that. So I want to thank you, all of you, for participating today, being here at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is not easy. And Andrew, Kari, Maria, Michaela, Lisette, and Alma, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We'll keep you in mind for following future editions, and your participation. It's extremely valuable, and we hope to continue this collaboration in the future. So thank you so much. And Michaela, one last thing about the feedback.
I put the link to the feedback form in the chat at 7:53. Please, you only have to do it after you have attended both of the sessions, or your total 2-hour sessions, not after every one. So just once. And so we really appreciate any feedback that you guys give us so that we can plan for the November summit.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much, and we stay in touch. Seguimos en comunicación, seguimos en contacto. Thank you so much, all of you, for your participation. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jose.